Hey guys, if you're a senior and you're on a fixed income and you're struggling right now, this is a great video to be watching. We talk about different ways that, or different options that you might have, especially if you have some equity in your home. Make sure you watch this. Can't stress it enough. There's 5 points that we touch on. They're all really important. Feel free to call me. But this is one video that you have to watch. Hey guys, it's Peter Cunha, your New Jersey real estate giant, broker owner of Open Doors. Here with my boy David.baum for a weekly call.
Hello, everybody. David.baum, Cross Country Mortgage. What's going on, Pete? Happy Tuesday.
Hey, happy voting day. I'm just glad that you got out early to rock the vote, I guess. I think that's dating me a little bit from the 80s, but it's just glad. I can't believe how many people I saw early morning around 6:30.
Yeah, I was out before on my way to work, and luckily it wasn't super crowded, but definitely, the lines were getting longer as I was leaving.
Yeah, no, and it's funny because you and I have been talking about certain things. I mean, inflation, and I'm watching all these people vote, and a lot of them were the elderly community, or the senior community, I guess. I feel like I'm an elder now. Uh, so the senior community, we were kind of talking a little bit about this, but as these inflations, how do I put it? What are three things that most people ask me? Interest rates, inflation, the economy, the election, right? So one thing's going to be off that list. The election, come hell or high water, whether it takes a week or 24 hours, we'll know kind of the results for the most part today, if not tomorrow or at the end of the week. But inflation, I thought that was an interesting thing because I keep telling people, I'm like, I think you and I are blessed because we're in our kind of peak earning years versus kind of seniors who I saw voting today, where inflation's really they've taken a hit from it. Heard a lot of seniors talking about, hey, listen, I've maxed out my credit cards and, what options do I have at this point? And, you and I were talking about it. I thought you had some really good ideas, in this we're doing kind of, I guess, presentation. And, if you wanted to go ahead and share that, I just want to stress to anybody that's watching, it's just, you've gone into retirement and, how do you unlock your wealth, right? Last thing you want to do is, just kind of max out on credit cards and pay 20% on those. Do you have retirement accounts? Do you have equity in your home?
So basically, we're talking about exploring options, right? On
For seniors.
what can the seniors ultimately do, or at least anyone from perspective. So you could either, your retirement funding options, right? You could either delay your retirement, you can go back to work, which, there's some pros and cons to that. Obviously, you can continue to earning, income to pay any financial obligations, and you could also, you might be unable or unwilling, to continue working because of potential poor health or other reasons for that matter. One option, you could sell your house or downsize. You may want to stay in your home. You may still have a mortgage. You may have closing costs, to obtain, potential financial burden if you don't have that available. You could eliminate or reduce potential mortgage payments or maintenance fees if you do end up selling or downsizing.
And Dave, let me just backtrack a little bit here.
Yeah.
The first line, did the delay retirement or return to work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How many times have you seen somebody, I love talking to seniors because I think that they've got great stories to tell. It's like you find out, it's funny because I met somebody. I'm like, what do you do? He's like, private equity, right? And I'm like, oh, I used to be on the hedge fund side, right? He's like, what are you doing in real estate? Like as if that's a shocker, right? And I always think of it this way. It's like, why I'm good as a realtor is because I used to, used to be at a, a hedge fund and stuff like that. Last thing I want to do is do something that I don't really, I don't want to enjoy. I'm kind of at the point in my life where, I have a 10-year exit strategy and I really don't want to be working, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think that that's a really good point that you brought up on point one, and then point two, selling your house. One thing that's not kind of really here is that a lot of people are currently paying 3% interest rates.
Hmm.
And if they decide to downsize, unless they can buy, you know, cash, they're still going to have to carry a mortgage, which is, now at, 7% or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, and it makes it really difficult. So I just want to kind of highlight those as we kind of go through this checklist.
Yep. So I
Uh,
think that's actually also kind of goes a little hand in hand with the third one, right? So I mean, if they're in a home currently, and let's just say they want to obtain a home equity loan or refinance, right? Like you just said. So they'll stay in the home, you may or may not be able to lower your monthly payments based on where rates are, and you still may have, you may have other debts or pay off some other debts with that, but you're going to have closing costs for the equity loan. You must still continue to pay your mortgage, right? Which is a big thing that, which I want to get to the last part of this, but there are potentially ways to not having a mortgage, payment,
right.
um, and still having equity and utilizing equity. So I want to get to that one yet, but the other thing, what people can potentially do is just decrease expenses and change your lifestyle. But usually when you get to your later years, that's when you want to have fun and be able to do what you want to do and
Right.
not feel restricted, right? It might be difficult for them to cut back or have sacrifices because they've sacrificed their whole life, right? I
Right.
mean, that's what you want to, hope to live for. So I guess from the last part, really, you can obtain what's called a home equity conversion mortgage. It allows you to access equity in your home to pay off, and you must pay off your existing mortgage first and foremost. There may be additional funds for expenses or financial goals, used to potentially invest or do other things. It allows you to maintain and remain in your home. So you have to live there as your primary residence for this. The loan balance will grow over time, because you will not have a mortgage payment. You still will be required to pay taxes and your home insurance and any HOA fees if that is something area that you're living in a community. But there are plenty of options, that you might be able to grow in your retirement stage in years and careers and utilizing tax-free money from a home equity conversion mortgage.
Right. And what's the age restriction on this? It sounds
So
like
yeah,
all
it's typically
over.
62 and up. If it's in the jumbo loan space, and some states they may allow you to be 60 and up. But this can be used not just for a refinance and cash out refinance. It can be used for purchase mortgage. So you don't have to necessarily pay in full in cash. However, um, there's some parameters that the, whether you're 62 or you're 87, they're, you might be looking somewhere on the low end. If you're say 62, you might get maybe up to 40% potentially loan to value. So if you're buying something, you might need roughly 60% down payment, plus closing
Right.
costs. Or if you're refinancing, and you're 62, let's just say it might be about 40% total. Whereas if you're 87, they may go up to potentially 60+% loan to value and allow you to borrow more, right? There could be additional costs you may have, in your elder years that you may have, live-in help or anything extra that there just could be additional expenses, right? And they try to help obviously out in that perspective and give it a little bit more than, than at the lower end.
Right. No, I think those are all valid points. I mean, it's yeah, the whole thing is, I always look at the senior, I was talking to somebody in an assisted living facility, and it's like pride and dignity. two common topics, and where my heart goes out are these are people that have done everything that they were supposed to. They worked until whatever age that is, 62, 65. They're on a fixed income, and then boom, interest rates are just inflation rates are just so high that they can't keep up. And I know that there's a lot of talk about coming out with different assistance programs for next year, but it's like everything else. This is a cash flow issue. you know, how do I pay for it today? I don't care what's coming tomorrow. I just need to survive today. So,
Right, yeah, this definitely will help out with that monthly cash flow, and it could pay off debt. Like I said, it could be utilized for many different things. There's different options, but a lot of times, that fifth option may be, it may suit, someone's needs. Someone might
right.
want to go back to work. Some people
Right.
might not want to, or may not be able to work, right? There's, everybody's situation is different. Everyone's family needs are different. So, these are just plenty of different options. And, ultimately, customer can choose, what might work best for them and their family.
Right. And, it's funny because I'm just sitting here listening to you talk about this, and I'm like, take away the whole senior component to this, right? So
Yeah,
let's take the bottom one off the list. Obtain a home
right.
equity conversion mortgage, right? Because there's an age restriction to that.
Sure.
But what am I hearing the most is people are taking part-time jobs on top of their already job, right?
Hmm.
Um, I hear a lot of people saying, "Hey, you know what? Maybe we'll just sell our house. We have some equity, and then we'll rent until we have a little bit more stability in our lifetime, in our lives."
Right.
Um, a lot of people have already obtained a home equity loan, right? How do they pay that off, right? Because that's another nut that has to get paid, even though it's interest only. And I don't know the dynamics of how many years that's good for, but it's certainly great for now. But how are you eventually going to pay that off, right?
Hmm.
Without having to sell your house. And then the other thing is, decrease. I think everybody is decreasing their expenses. Me and my wife have decided that, hey, you know what? We could just make coffee at home every day, talk about, really small issues, but, we're cutting back on little areas, in life just to see what the future brings. So, it's interesting. I love looking at this list because of the pros and cons. So,
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure. And like I said, yeah, not just, from looking at it as a, retirement stage.
right.
Like I said, it is overall, it does break everything down, pretty simple,
Yeah.
right? And it's just in a nutshell, but obviously, to be more, in depth, obviously everyone is different, every situation is different. So I'd love to be able to have a consultation with anyone, and discuss, any mortgage financial matter from that perspective,
Yeah.
and help them out.
And one of the things is like, we're not financial advisors by any means, but
Right.
we are dealing with people's, typically their biggest asset in their portfolio, which is kind of, I like to feel like I'm truly helping. I was talking to a financial advisor the other day, and he's like, yeah, it's, I started off doing small stuff, and then, it kind of, I wanted to do more. And, if this is our small little thing that can help people just kind of evaluate what the best options are for them. Again, we don't have a crystal ball. If we did, we'd be really, really wealthy. But we don't know what the next 12 months are going to be like, even the 24, 36, depending on what headline you read, it could be really bad. And then I know that you and I were talking about a gentleman that's, got a pretty solid opinion saying that, maybe 12 months, hopefully a little less, but that's kind of where we're at. So
Yeah, I mean, we're all riding the same roller coaster, and eventually, like I keep saying, well, the better days are definitely ahead. But as
right.
of right now, we're just, everyone is dealing with the same economy, right? Rates are rates right now, but knowledge is power. So we're
Right.
just trying to give out as much, knowledge as we can, and let people make good decisions off of that.
Right. Right, and that's literally where we're at. So, what's the, we'll post the contact information, for the YouTube channel, but if people aren't, subscribing, what's the best way to contact you?
You can hit me up at david.baum at ccm.com or call me on my cell 732-853-4969. And I'll stop sharing, put us back on, and yeah, that's the best way to reach me.
All right, and, Dave, I appreciate you being on this as always. I think this is really good content. I think this is too important for people not to know. I think that there's gonna be brighter skies, soon. I know the weather here in New Jersey has been beautiful the last couple of days. I'm hoping that the economy, will also be that way, sooner rather than later. So, let's just get through this rough patch and, help as many people as we can in the meantime. All right, man?
Sounds good. Take care. All right. Have a great day, everyone.
Later, buddy.